Bonjour la classe et bienvenue à la leçon pour aujourd'hui. So today you're going to do a dictee. So let's get stuck straight in. By the end of class, you'll be able to listen and write, which is part of dictee. Dictee is to dictate. So listen and write phrases to describe the likes, dislikes, and fears of the class. This is a lot of the things that we've been working on over the past couple weeks. So in the dictee, you need pen and paper. You're going to do it on pen and paper. And the first part, on the first line, you're going to listen and write what you hear in the best French you can. And then you leave a space for line 2, leave another space for line 3, and then you write another sentence again. So we've done dictates a few times now, so I know that you're in the hang of it. Just make sure you're doing this on pen and paper. Okay, so for the dictee, traditionally you listen and listen 3 times. You écouter 1 time, then the second time you're going to listen to it again, écouter et écrire, and then the third time you listen again, écouter et vérifier, and listen and check. So you're listening to double check your writing before we move on to the second sentence, third sentence. Et aujourd'hui, class, so today there are going to be 6 phrases. 6 phrases. Let me just write on here for you. Aujourd'hui, il y a 6 phrases. So you're going to have 6 sentences that you're listening for. And listen up for the punctuation today. You're either going to hear point ou point d'interrogation. If you don't hear that, then it's not the end of a sentence. I want you to focus on le point d'interrogation. Pay attention to the accents. I'm not going to tell you where the accents are, but I want you to be able to put those in. Okay, so that's it. For today's video, I'm not actually going to repeat it 3 times, trois fois. I'm actually just going to say the sentence 1 time. And what I want you to do is pause, replay, and do it yourself 3 times. Now, if you get it down after, the second time, then feel free that you don't need to do it 3 times. But please don't be spending 10 times trying to listen to one thing. Just move on. Okay, just as we would do in the class. It's kind of nice doing it over video because you can pause it as you need to, and you can either listen to it all the way through and 3 times, or I would recommend after each sentence just go back and replay that sentence up to 3 times. Okay, so class, vous êtes prêts? Pause the video, get yourself ready, pen and paper. Numéro 1. Madame Hunter aime lire. Point. Numéro 2. Elle déteste les araignées. Point. Numéro 3. J'ai peur de serpents. Point. Numéro 4. Il a peur de clowns. Point. Numéro 5. Tu aimes le lycée? Point d'interrogation. Et numéro 6. Non, virgule. Je n'aime pas de lycée. Point. Okay, class, so make sure you've paused and replayed as many times as you need to, up to 3 times. to get your best possible French. So we're done with line 1. Now on line 2, you're going to check and write your corrections. So you should really have a different color to circle or highlight the mistakes on line 1. If you're ever unsure how to do this, there are how-to videos on PowerSchool. There are examples for the student work on PowerSchool. Use that to help you do the best possible dictate you can from home. Okay, it's not a long activity, but it's a very useful activity for learning French. And this is the most useful part, is checking and writing the corrections so that your French is really good and you can see where you went well, where you went wrong, and what it really should be like. So circle or highlight the mistakes on line 1, and then on line 2, you're writing the corrections. So if you have the whole sentence wrong, write the whole sentence out again. Actually, I'd encourage you to write the whole sentence out again. Unless you got it perfectly right the first time, okay? But definitely make sure you're correcting and pay attention to things like les accents and spelling, okay? And then when you're done, and we're going to do this together, I'm going to show you the corrections right now, and then when we're done, you can tally up how many errors you got, and I want you to tell me that total on a Google form. And it's not going to affect your grade, it's just an indication of, you know, how we did on today's lesson. Okay, so la première phrase was Madame Hunter aime lire. Point. Numéro 2, elle déteste les araignées. Point. So déteste, il y a un accent aigu. Araignée, accent aigu. And araignée, this is a hard word. You've seen it over the past 2 weeks, but spelling-wise, it's a hard word. So A, E, A, I, G, N, E, accent aigu, E, S, point. And this is les araignées. So make sure all of that's spelled right. If it's wrong, just circle, circle, and write it correctly on the line below. Numéro 3. J'ai peur de serpent. Point. This is a new phrase you've been learning. You only saw it yesterday or in this week's lessons. So I'm not expecting you to have this perfect by now, but maybe you did. So j'ai peur, P-E-U-R. Et numéro 4, il a peur de clown. So clowns is spelled the same, clown, clown, but pronunciation is different. Il a peur. So we've got the same here, peur, peur, but this is j'ai and this is il a. Different sentence. Numéro 5, c'est une question. Alors, tu aimes, avec une S, aimes le lycée. Lycée, il y a E accent aigu et point d'interrogation. Et numéro 6, okay, I did throw in a new grammar here, so don't worry if you got this bit messed up. I did try to indicate on the video, but it's okay if you got it wrong. So, non, en français, non, N-O-N, vergule, this is the vergule, that's how it's spelled and that's how it sounds. But this is all that you needed to do. So, vergule. Je n'aime pas. So make sure this is all done right. N apostrophe M pas de lycée. So we have a répétition de lycée. Point. Okay, so tally up how many you have. Pause the video as you need to right here to make all those corrections. And then come back to the video. So, line 2, just finish that off. Count your number of errors, put it on a Google form. So, on a, I should have changed this. So, the last thing you're going to do is translate into English. Now, you can do this directly below. It's probably better to do directly below on line 3 on your dictee. So have your dictee there in front of you. Translate as much or as best as you can. Again, this is I'm not going to grade if you get it wrong. I just want to see how well, you have to absolutely do it, but I just want to see how well you understand. So do this, and then you're going to type this out in English on the Google form. Okay, so I'm going to show you really, really quickly the Google form, because this is new. You've not done it like this before. My French tutors have. Okay, so this part of the Google form tells you to write on paper, how many corrections did you make. Now we're going to move on to the third part, which is translating the sentences from French to English. So here underneath you have number 1. So I want you to go back to look on your line 1. What does that say in English? Okay, and you're going to write here the translation in English. Then line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5, line 6. So I should be able to see each of your translations, okay? If you understand some of the sentence, but not all of it, write as much as what you understand, okay? So if there's some things you're like, okay, j'ai peur de means I'm afraid of, but I don't know what that last word is, just put I'm afraid of, ... okay? And you can tell me down here if there's some things that you didn't understand. So have fun with the lesson today. It's not super long, but dictates is super powerful in learning language. And this is great preparation for next week, where we have the summative assessments, and it's going to look similar. It's not going to be a dictee, but it's going to be based on the same texts. So today's lesson is great practice for that. Okay, merci beaucoup. Au revoir.